We are live in 3, 2, 1. Welcome to the 30-minute hour. It's the weekly podcast where we discuss business, sports, politics, and whatever's on our mind. I'm your host, Eric Twiggs, your procrastination prevention partner. Joining me as always is my partner in crime. He's the super CEO, the business strategist extraordinaire, and all-around good guy, Ted Fells.
Good evening, everyone in our listening audience.
Listening and viewing.
And viewing.
That's right. We got to go in both ways.
You don't want to forget the viewers.
No, we can't forget those viewers. You know, they're going to be making comments. They're going to be saying, hey, Ted forgot all about us.
Right.
What's up
right.
with that?
Right.
Definitely don't want that. And we have our special guest with us. We'll introduce him in a second. But know this, if you're watching this for the first time, you're listening to us for the first time, this is not your everyday podcast.
Yeah.
We're a little different, and you'll see soon. But definitely you can follow us here on the 30-minute hour Facebook page. You can go to our website, the 30minutehour.net, and you can catch the archive of all of our previous episodes. You can even catch our YouTube page as well. And don't forget to check out the What Now movement. So, you know, Ted and I, along with Dr. Sharon H. Porter, we're founders of the What Now movement. We've got the What Now movement Facebook group. You need to get in there, join and check it out. You know, every day is a different theme. You get a special video to really help you to take things to the next level. Today we had a repeat from Justin Rambo. He's a bad boy.
Yeah.
I was fired up. I was watching Justin's video. I was ready to run through a wall.
Oh yeah, I got the week off started on a good note.
I was starting to do football drills. I was ready. What do they call them? Oklahoma's?
That's it.
I was fired up. But no, in all seriousness, you know, check out Justin Rambo. Check out the What Now movement group, and you'll be inspired. You'll be ready to roll. You'll have the answer to that question, what now? Because life's curveballs are going to happen. Something's going to happen. Today's a pandemic. Tomorrow, it's going to be something else. The question is, what now?
Absolutely.
That's right. And Ted, this is a good time for us to feature our sponsor of the week. You know, you and I, we're just getting bombarded with all these questions. You know, what can I do to be a sponsor on the 30-minute hour podcast?
Yeah.
You know, it's right up there with, you know, there's a lot of questions in the world, you know, who shot JFK? Was there ever really a moon landing? And how can I be a sponsor on a 30-minute hour podcast?
Yeah.
Those questions are right up there, right? There's just as much curiosity. But if you want to be a sponsor on a 30-minute hour podcast, all you have to do is email me, Eric at ericmtwigs.com, and we will feature you on an upcoming episode that goes out everywhere. So this week's sponsor is Ethos 108. He's a returning sponsor. It's Rob Joel, and he's got this outstanding community of entrepreneurs. He's got authors. He's got career professionals. They're doing big things in the community. I know he's got a big time cancer research doctor. I mean, there's a lot of great people on this site. It's Ethos 108. I want to make sure you check that out. And if you want to be a part of that, you just reach out to Rob Joel. It's rjoel@gmail.com. You can reach out to him. But he's our sponsor of the week. He's got a site. It's called Ethos 108, where he features, again, entrepreneurs and career professionals and authors on this special page. So there you have it. So Ted.
Yes, Eric.
Glad to see you still with me. I gotta just check in.
I'm with you, man. I'm with you.
You're with me. All right. Make sure you haven't checked out on me yet.
No, man, I'm here.
All right. Cool. That's good to know.
Yeah.
So Ted, I've got something that's on my mind.
Okay. What you got, man? Please share.
Yeah. And today it's in honor of our guest.
Okay.
This theme, what I have on my mind.
Okay.
Here, I've really been thinking about this thing as I was thinking about our guest. If loving you is wrong, I don't want to be right. That's right. So, as you know, I've got an automotive background, and this is a true story. This is something that happened several years ago. And it brings home the point. So there was this guy, his name was Mike, and he's the manager of this $1 million auto repair facility. And so one morning, a young lady named Lisa, she comes into his shop, needing brakes for a car. So he told her, it'd be done by 5 o'clock, and he'd call her and update her on the status. But Mike got busy and he forgot. And so she came back thinking her car was picked up. She got taxied by a coworker, thinking her car was ready to be picked up, and it wasn't done. She's highly upset. So Mikey paid for a rental car, and he gave her a 10% additional discount off the bill. So she agreed to this and came back that following evening to pick her car up. And so she said, I'm still not happy. I want another $50 off. That's what she said. So Mike's like, no, the 10% off in the room, that's the best thing I can do. That's the right thing according to this situation. I know I'm right in this situation. So she says, okay, Mike, I'm just going to tell all my friends to give you a bad Yelp review and to never do business at your shop. And Mike's like, okay, look, I'm sorry you feel that way, but that's my final offer. I'm following my customer satisfaction policy. And in this situation, this is the right thing to do. I'm confident that I'm right. So she did as promised. She got her network of friends to just bombard this shop with negative Yelp reviews. So the shop got 16 negative Yelp reviews. And then within 6 months, this shop was out of business. So here's the big idea. Here's the takeaway. And this applies to both business and marital relationships. Something to really think about. Sometimes you can be right, but still be wrong. I think about that thing. Sometimes you can be right technically, but still be wrong. And that's why it's important to pick your battles very carefully. And I, Ted, I try to find some people to quote, these philosophers that are out there. And I found this special philosopher for today. He's a writer. He's a philosopher. His name is Luther Ingram.
Okay. Here's
what he had to say about this whole situation. He said, if loving you is wrong, I don't want to be right.
All right.
If being right means being without you, I'd rather live a wrongdoing life. That's right.
That's serious.
You got to pick your battles carefully.
That's serious.
And here's the thing, Ted. If you pick your battles, if you commit to picking your battles carefully, you can live happily ever after.
You help somebody today, Eric.
I'm at to help myself, Ted.
You help somebody today.
Sometimes I do these for me.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, I may even make that statement later. If loving you is wrong, I don't want to be right. But it's interesting that there's a reason I'm talking about this whole idea of picking your battles. And, sometimes you can win the battle and you can lose the war. And I know these are things that our guest is very familiar with. We talk about happily ever after. He's learned, this is his thing. He's learned that it's never too late to live happily ever after. Right? So he founded the African American Marriage Counseling in 2004. He founded this organization in his private practice. He's partnered with, get this, over 5,100 couples.
Wow.
5,100 couples to help them develop the skills to begin to hear and be heard by each other so they can make peace with the past and move past the pain into the past and learn and move forward, overcome life's challenges and strengthen their families. He's got a doctorate in clinical psychology from The Ohio State University, and he's completed his undergraduate studies at Southern University in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Now, again, he is somebody.
It sounds like it.
Yeah. He's spoken at the Congressional Black Caucus. He blogs for the Psychology Today. He's been featured in Ebony, Essence Magazine, the Washington Post, Washington Times, XM Radio, BET, and TV One. He's been a guest expert in movies, including You Saved Me, a documentary about marriage in the Black community.
Right. So
please join me in welcoming to the 30-Minute Hour podcast, Dr. Shane Perrault.
Oh, I thank you. I was reading through, just listening to you, and I was struck by a couple of things. First of all, let me say, if you ever see a turtle atop a fence post, you know he had help, right? So it takes a village to raise someone, and it takes a tribe to raise an entrepreneur. I just wanted to just thank you guys for your tribe and the way you guys look out for entrepreneurs and do that very thing, because it's very powerful and critical. So you were talking about being right and being effective. I'm like, man, has he been like bugging my sessions this last couple of weeks? Because that's all we talk about. And I learned in session that there's being right and there's being effective. There's being right and there's being effective, because sometimes we got to choose between the things we love and being right. We got to choose between our family and feeling right. Because right's a pretty lonely thing when you're looking up and you out of business in 6 months, when all you had to do was give that person $50. Yes, they're crazy. Yes, the manual says don't do it. But you know what? Goodwill is an amazing thing. And I say in relationships, to have goodwill, we got to shift from being right, which means they got to be wrong. And ain't too many folks signing up for that one, and being effective. So that was just right on point.
Yeah, thank you. You know, the funny thing, there's a meme that's floating around social media, and this guy, he says, yeah, I just won this argument with my wife. And he's like, he's out in the garage with the dog, sleeping on the floor. but that's very common. I think we just have to get better at picking our battles. And I know that's something you see all the time with couples you work with.
Oh yeah, I always ask couples, I'm like, but is that the hill to die on?
Right.
You know, if that's the hill to die on, hey, go all out. You know, just say, push the red button. More times than not, it isn't. And you just have to choose, because if that blood's on your hand from every battle, by the time you get to the one you really need and got to win, you've had a pure victory, and that you've won the battle, and now you've lost the war because you don't have credibility or goodwill in the account anymore.
Right. Awesome. So yeah, let's take a couple of steps back to kind of get us to where you are now from where you started. So you were an undergraduate at Southern University. So when you were an undergrad, like, what were your career plans? Did you think you would be doing what you're doing now?
I never envisioned in my wildest dream I was gonna either get my MBA and be this amazing entrepreneur, or I was gonna be this lawyer with this big firm. Being a psychologist never crossed my mind.
Interesting. And then, so like, if you could go back to those times, let's say when you were a sophomore on campus with the knowledge that you know now, what advice would you give to yourself?
I think just that maybe I trusted my natural instincts to a good extent, and it worked out really well. But I really wanted to do like photojournalism, communication. but everybody looked at you like you were crazy to major that. You were just going to be this big zero in life, maybe making $28,000 a year if you got lucky, right? But I really like filmmaking. I like telling a story. I like, wow, being able to put some media out there. And I would have listened to that a little bit more. And I also would have figured out earlier on, and this is to all you entrepreneurs out there are riches and niches. And I would have tried to really zone in on what my niche was and build everything around that.
No, I think that's great advice. I mean, that there's riches in niches.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's so tempting to want to be everything to everybody, right?
Yeah, it really is. And it's like that single point, at least when I came to my professional career, completely changed my life. You know, a lot of people talk about passion, purpose, and brand, and those are like really important things, and they're the big buzzwords now. But it's just kind of figuring out, what would you do if there were no money in the world? What would you do for free? And I would have been doing some version of this for free because I just have always enjoyed it.
Yeah. No, and that's so important. And I know a lot of entrepreneurs that literally they hate what they're doing, but they got sold this idea of, hey, you know what, I'm going to do this turnkey thing. I'm going to make all this money. But no, I think that passion is important. You know, something you would do for free. And that's the key. So good. All right. So we're here on the 30-minute hour podcast. We're talking to Dr. Shane Perrault. Again, I know we're starting to get some people from the What Now movement logging on. Please feel free to chime in, make your comments as we're talking to Dr. Shane, myself, and Ted Fells. So what experiences, Dr. Shane, inspired you to become the founder of this African-American marriage counseling?
It happened very indirectly. Two things happened. First, I didn't have a niche and I was struggling. I was struggling to get clients. I got no media attention. I was just out there. I might as well have been in a cave by myself, right? And so finally, I just said, well, let me call someone. I bought this $297 marketing program. And I said, this guy's going to earn my money because I ain't getting no clients, right? So I call him up and he had this thing about niches. And he says, I says, well, how do I know it works? He said, well, you called me, didn't you? I had to shut up on that one, right? So he says, look, take all the people that you're seeing and put them in 2 or 3 buckets. Who are they? Who are these people that are finding their way to you? Who's responding to your ads? As few as they are, right? And it might have had like 8 people at that time. And so I said, well, they're kids with ADHD, because I was a brother. So people would send their troubled kids to me, white and black. They're like, they'll listen to him, right? And then afterwards, I found I'd go to my lobby and these people were ready to kill each other. So I started doing marital therapy. So I started talking about it. He said, well, what's unique about these married people? I said, well, a lot of them are African-American. African-American marriage counseling became it. And it really was a life-altering decision. At the time, I did not realize how much it would impact my life. So I never studied marriage. I wasn't really interested in married couples. I just found myself naturally good at it. But because I had that URL that he told me to form, a media person went and typed me in. Next thing I know, I'm on ABC To The Point, right? Doing this interview. I'm looking, I'm like, man, how'd that happen?
Wow.
2 weeks after that, Eleanor Norton Holmes happened to be looking for someone for the Congressional Black Caucus. And she calls me up and I'm like, that voice is odd. It can't be no one else. I'm thinking it's like a crank call, right? She's like, well, will you come and speak at the CBC? I'm like, yeah, I might be able to fit you in. You know, be all cool. What day was that? She said, yeah, I saw where you did this media thing and I think you might be good at it. So I go, it's a hit. It's in the carried by the Washington Post, Washington Times, and scores of media. So a person that would later become my mentor and coach, she's happened to promote a Black movie. So my PR person calls me up and she says, look, this guy is doing this movie. Just go to this auditorium and I want you to speak. So I go, he's got all these people on a rainy day. Tyler New Media, right? He's got all these people on a rainy day in this movie thing. And it's like, then NBA playoffs are going on. I'm like, who is this guy, right? So I go, I speak. Next thing I know, he wants me to be in a movie. And from there, it just blossomed. Because I started to get media. People would see when they looked me up or when they were looking for media, they see me in one of these media things. They would see me and they say, I want to work with him. And
So did all this start from that $200 kit?
297, I'll give him that.
297 kit. Wow.
It just organically just took off. And I'm not a household name, but I started to dominate in my niche. And people were like, I want to work with you. I mean, I've worked with 5,100 couples since that time. And so just by getting a niche, and when I talk about the power of it, people like working with experts. I'll give you an example, 2 books, right? Let's say you got a pit bull, just to make this shorter. I got a training book, How to Train Your Puppy, $9.97. How to Raise Your Pedigree Pit Bull, $19.97. Which one are you buying?
The one that's more niched.
19, it's twice as much.
Yeah.
And then we ain't even seen the cover, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so that's how people are. So I'm saying to all you entrepreneurs out there, I have a passion towards serving. I definitely have a passion for helping families. Probably had a bigger passion for ADHD, to be honest with you. But it's like, it's not just your passion. It's also, boy, what do I do that works, that helps people solve problems that keep them up at night? And then just zone into it, make your URL reflect that in all your media, and you'll be amazed at how quickly you will grow. So the guy, I asked him one question. I said, so is this going to cost me money? I mean, my name was funny, right? Adolescent and adult behavioral consultations, because I didn't want to miss nobody. And I said, so is that going to cost me? I'm not going to get the same number of people I will with this. He says, give it 6 months. He says, for 6 months it may. After that, you'll never look back. And so anyway, that's just my message to the entrepreneurs out there, which someone had told me as a college student.
That's a great story.
Yeah.
And because there's a couple of pieces in there. Not only is there the piece about the importance of niche, you finding your niche, but also of having a coach or a mentor.
Yeah.
There are no shortcuts to success, people say, but success does leave a trail. And if you want to pick that trail up a lot quicker, get you a coach or a mentor.
Absolutely. No, that's a fantastic story. And then, so this is like your tagline. Like I see it on social media, and your Facebook page, and your website, where you're saying it's never too late to live happily ever after. So why do you believe that's the case?
It isn't. I think people make life kind of complex, right? I think really we're one decision away from our life, from our best life. And I know that may sound crazy, but if you think about the story I just told, it was one decision. I'm broke, ain't nobody calling me, let me call somebody. That one decision to make that call, the next decision to follow up, changed my life. So I think in your marriage, your one decision, I'll tell you what that decision is in a nutshell, bullet here that will knock you off your socks. You can get everything you want if you will just help your spouse get what they want. And that's from what Zig Ziglar used to say, right? You get everything in the world you want if you just help enough other people get what they want. Hey, figure out what your spouses want, give it to them, speak their love language. If yours is gifts and theirs quality time, plan a staycation. Don't keep getting them stuff. They got all this stuff with tables, the labels ain't even off them, right? And you order them another pair of red bottom shoes. They don't want red bottom shoes, they want you. So just help your spouse get what they want and you'll change your marriage. So we really are one decision away. And that's why I say it's never too late to live your happily ever after.
So that's interesting. So you're seeing that the whole thing with the 5 love languages, that is critical in the relationship, kind of figuring out what the other person's love language is. And
it's interesting. So we all have heard of the 5 love languages. It didn't work for me. I read the book, I tried it. there's a challenge with the love language. There's a way to unleash the superpower. So let me give y'all seriously. Y'all can cut me off and spend a lot of money for this and get it tonight. The thing is, so yeah, you want to learn the love languages, go to 5lovelanguages.com. You want to improve your marriage, hey, do 3 things in their love language. You want to transform your marriage, resolve conflicts in their love language. You know, because it's like knowing Spanish or French and you go to Paris, right? The moment you get hit with a frustrating situation, what are you speaking? English.
Oh, English.
Right, I'm gonna go with what I know.
We
Right.
back to our native tongue, and that's what happens in conflict. We buy more shoes. There's 5 more pair of red bottoms. These are new, new released, right? You're gonna love me now. No, person said they wanted a staycation. So resolve the conflict in their love language is the superpower. And for all of you out there, that's why I say it's never too late to live your happily ever after. Usually the workaholic never says, let's take a staycation, never gives them more quality time. They give them more gifts. They give them more things. Boy, I just put another $50,000 into that investment over there. That's going to pay off, but it's not what they want.
Yeah. No, that's interesting. Do you see any applications in business as far as, let's say, resolving customer conflicts?
Resolving the customer conflict you started this story with is the perfect example. For $50, he could have saved his business.
Yeah.
You know what? The manual says that. I like the manual. I wrote it myself, but you know what? If $50 will keep you as a loyal customer, given you had to come all the way back here, sure. It's just giving her what she wants so she could give you what you want. That could have been a positive review. Hey, let's write that. I'll tell you what, you write that review at Yelp, I'll give you that $50.
Yeah. And it's interesting. So like, if you go back to that story, like just from my experience, I'd be willing to bet that if I was dealing with her, it wouldn't have gotten that far because she probably just really wanted to be heard.
And that's what was missed.
Right. She probably he would have had to give the $50 if he had just come across as empathetic, like he's listening.
Yeah, it's horrible you had to come back here a second day. It bothered me all night. It bothered me that I never get that 10% discount. Never. I just never give it. I can't tell you last time I rented a car.
Right.
It's just like you said, she wanted a connection point. She wanted to feel heard. But that's the same with every business person out there. Years ago, I started my profession. I was working for Dale Carnegie courses, and I went with one of the top salesmen. This guy used to teach all these courses, and I said, man, he's going to light into her. And so he's listening to the owner of the company, and he asked her a question. 50 minutes into our interview, he's still asking questions. I'm just waiting for him to come with this lightning bolt, right? Never does. He says, well, based on what you said and based on how our product delivers, yeah, I think this could be a good match and it could work for you. And here's what it will do. Bam, bam, bam. As entrepreneurs, we want to sell something. I had a young entrepreneur, actually my nephew the other day, trying to sell me on why I should invest in his company. 2 hours in, I get a question. At that point, I'm asleep. You not once told me what it would do for me, why it would make sense for me, how I would even get my money back. I mean, if I could break even with a nephew, I'm probably good. I got none of that. But he sold, and we need to learn to listen.
Yeah, it's just interesting how there's so many parallels between the marital relationship and even with like the customers and things of that nature. So kind of on the marriage side of things, what advice do you have for that person who they're watching this now, they're having marital problems, and they see divorce as like the only option?
So first of all, let me say, with an intervention, divorce rates drop as much as 30%. With an intervention, and that's why I say it's never too late to live your happily ever after. Sometimes you can resolve it, sometimes you can. If you listen and you try and give them everything they want and it ain't working, go get professional help. People say it costs money. It does. So do divorce attorneys. A divorce attorney is going to ask you for $5,000 and your spouse for $5,000. That retainer is going to last 3 weeks. I'm never going to charge you that much. You won't pay me that much. So I'm saying if you're at a place where you just can't move the needle, get professional help.
Yeah. Well, that's good advice. Ted, you about to say something?
Yeah, so Dr. Shane, during this whole pandemic time, I've been hearing a lot about people and kind of, couples having to spend more time together than, than they're probably used to spending. I mean, what are some of the, what type of advice can you give to some of the couples out here that may be having some, some challenges, with all that extra time, that together time?
Yeah, it's a crucial question, Ted. It's been a phenomenal experience, and that is, I've seen where couples, it's been the best of times and the worst of times. I've actually seen couples like, God, thank God for the COVID. That may shock you, right? Now, granted, they both weren't laid off and saying that, but they both were working from home and saying that. And I've seen couples say, this is the worst thing ever. Oh my God, I'm stuck with this person. We're driving each other crazy. This has got to end. I'm going in. I don't care. I'll take a chance with COVID. So it really has been the best of times and the worst of times. But the advice is, first of all, recognize kind of what the problem is. The expectation was, now we'll have all this quality time. We've always said if we've had more time together, we were the same place. It'd be like we were in high school, college, or the marriage we said I do to. Very unrealistic, because we're home and we don't have that time. Usually bosses can call you more now. Usually they're checking up on you all day. So it's made for a more intense experience. So two of the things I've told couples to do, first of all, get some family time once a day, no devices, because your kids have questions and they're going to be either answered by a 13-year-old or by you. And I think we all know which one's going to end better. Second of all, no matter what, you still have to carve your time out, and you have to do it in each other's love language.
No, that's awesome. So I know with over 5,100 couples, you're at a point now you can kind of see things. So like if there is a couple that's engaged and they come to you, are you at a point where you can kind of tell if they're going to make it or not, or if they're in trouble, or if they're going to have a success, just kind of how they're interacting in a short period of time?
It's interesting. When I first started practice, I used to look at kind of what I'll call these 4 horses in a race, right? I'd look at sex, power, money, romantic love, values, and friendship. So at first I thought sex, power, money. I mean, I used to get these couples, they would come in there and they looked like they were like gonna be on Ebony. And you think this couple's gonna win, right? They got these high profile jobs and all that stuff. But I realized not so much. Usually that was my longest hour. And it was my longest hour because I would have people that were used to being catered to. And I found that marriage was more about catering to the other person. So they didn't do as well as I thought. I used to think money, right? What I found is that as you go from 40 to 80, money's huge. As you go from 80 to 120, not so big. 120 to 160, negligible. 160 to 200, not noticeable. So I realized it wasn't money either. Don't get me wrong, values are very important things. And I put values and religion together. But what I find, if those couples weren't careful, they would definitely stay together, but they would putter along with the buzzards, the crows, and the pigeons, knowing they should be soaring with the eagles. So the superpower, which will shock you because it's the 4-letter word of dating, is friendship, right? Friends found their way back to each other. So what I found is most couples, they have the will to make it. The question is really skills. How do we help them develop the skills? Friends will develop the skills. Friends will say, you know what, I need to look in the mirror because I'm just jack foul on that move I just did to you. Let me do better. And so I find that friends will generally find their way back to each other, but no one ever picks them when they're coming in the door. And that's what I realized. It's like, boy, if they're friends and they're coachable and they're open to developing the skills, that was the superpower. Now you combine that with values, with love, money, power, all that stuff, but not love alone, because love's a fairly fickle emotion, and love and marriage is a marathon.
Interesting. So we've got quite a few couples that follow this show. and they're in business together, full-time entrepreneurs. What steps can they take to maintain a happy marriage and a healthy work relationship?
Man, that is a hard question there. I had some couples want to sell their multi-million-dollar business for $1. I'm literally just get back to the relationship they've had. And I've seen couples do it well.
Yeah.
So I think the first thing is that there has to be a boundary that is left at the office. When we come out this door, when we come in this door, we're just two different people. We're two different people. We accept that, again, being right and being effective. So being right is creating a win-win. There are 4 ways to resolve a conflict: win-lose, lose-win, lose-lose, or win-win. So the couples that are successful, generally they'll create win-wins. So even if they disagree on some part of it, ultimately they could see where at least their opinion was respected. Maybe we didn't go your way, but boy, it was a win-win. You got some of the things that you wanted. So I find creating that type of atmosphere is just very, very important. And if you have to disagree, don't do it in front of your people, because they are going to take that wedge and they're going to divide your house.
No, that is great advice. And that's like I'd heard the thing about, kind of, because we would have okay, at this sign, we're not going to talk about business anymore. But once you get past, so you kind of have those things, but I don't think it's talked about enough that you don't want to show that division in front of the team, because that's the beginning of all kinds of problems.
Yeah, well, because everybody's you get a lot of courtiers. They're all jockeying for power, and if they know that wedge is there, they can tell when y'all ain't speaking when you walk in the office. Okay, they know y'all done had a bad night. You did that again. Girl, she's up to that. And next thing you know, it's like an open wound. It just comes gushing out, and we've crossed that boundary.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, we're here with Dr. Shane Perrault on the 30-Minute Hour podcast. We're talking about business relationships. We're talking about marital relationships and how they could be similar. Make sure you put your questions in on the chat. I mean, even if we don't get them answered during this show, we can always circle back. But definitely make sure you chime in. I see more and more people are logging on. So what are some of I think you've touched on some of them already, but what are some of the key skills that couples should develop to resolve these problems and to create more of a win-win situation?
So a lot of people come to me, like 60% of the couples will come to me and they'll say they have a communication problem. I'm listening. Most of the people I have a cash practice. Most of the people that come to me are very successful because they also have insurance and they can still afford to come see me. So they're usually pretty dynamic, articulate people. But one of the things I've learned is that if you don't trust the messenger, doesn't matter how well their position is articulated. Doesn't really.
Yeah.
And so if I don't trust you, I'm not going to get to creating a win-win with you. I'm going to create a win-lose, a lose-lose, or a lose-win.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, if I don't trust you, I need to say, hey, babe, we got a problem. I don't trust you. You're telling me something that should make sense to me, but it doesn't. And it sounds like a funny thing to joke about, but it opens the air because everybody says, I don't trust you either. And let's just recognize we ain't got a communication problem. We got a trust problem. Have either of you ever been on a team where people didn't trust each other?
Oh, certainly.
Did it underperform or overperform?
They underperform.
All the time.
Right? Every time. And I'm just saying, like, if you don't trust your spouse, I'll go back to my quality time example. So frequently, spouse will come in and say, we don't spend enough quality time. There you go again. You're always complaining, da-da-da. Look in your closet, all those red bottoms. I bet you
all that quality time in the closet.
No, you have quality time in there picking through your shoes, right? All your girls talking all that stuff, they ain't got that type of stuff. I bet you they wish they had. Rather than saying, all right, babe, you know what? You've been talking about this quality time thing for like 18 months. What is it? well, babe, since you opened up your own company, I don't know if you realize it, but you used to work 60 hours. Now you work 120. And like when we see you, you're tired or you're at the table on their devices. And even though you're here in COVID and we're here all the time, we're not really together like laughing, enjoying each other. You're complaining about your business or you're stressed out and you leave dinner with the family. Now we got something we could fix. We could fix that by saying, okay, pick out 2 nights. Just pick out 2 nights, one for the family, one for us. I'll cut my devices off at whatever time you say. Problem solved. Problem solved. So I'm saying when the messenger tells you a problem and you tell them no, you think you won it over, right? The reality is things get worse because you're not giving them the benefit of the doubt, but you're also signaling to them, I don't care about that problem. It ain't going to be fixed. This is your life. Can you accept it? And once people say no, game changer.
So like, this just came to mind, right? In business and I think in relationships, I think like complaints are really an opportunity. Like a lot of times, if your significant other or spouse is on you about something, that means she's emotionally invested. She cares. To me, the most dangerous thing is when
they don't say nothing, huh?
Right. When you're working all the time and she doesn't care, that's a problem. That's when you know you're in trouble.
Right.
Eric, I swear to God, you must come and sit in my office, man. Because it's one of the funniest things I discovered is like angry people never leave marriages. They're still fighting. Indifferent. You see, I'm sitting back, I'm like, oh man, they don't care no more. Boy, this might be over. Indifferent people leave. When they're not asking that question no more, like you say, they don't care. No, you keep working. I'm about to go out my red bottoms. You know what I'm saying? That's when you need to be concerned.
Right.
So they done already ate and everything. They ain't worried about you being late for dinner.
Nah,
they done ate, washed dishes and everything, huh?
They good. They are more than good. Yeah, I left you a little plate over there. You go. And I'm not trying to be sexist. I mean, there was 3 guys talking, so my examples have been around that because I got some women that put it down too. And they're some real workaholics. And boy, you just get into that provider type of a mindset and you come to think that's all that matters. And people need you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so even like if you go from a customer standpoint, like most customers don't complain, right? In any industry, most customers, they aren't emotionally invested enough to complain. They just never come back. Right. But so the ones that complain, they care on some degree. At least you have an opportunity.
No, I think you're spot on. You insightfully said with the woman, when she said the $50, had she just listened, well, why is that so important to you?
Right.
Well, what makes that so important? He could have found something he could have addressed at least, saw if he could meet that need, saw what it was, and just like, okay, and maybe, like you said, not even giving them the $50.
Mm-hmm. Gave her some windshield washer fluid or something. Hey, that's all he would have had to do. Just do something.
Yeah, you want a car wash? All right. Right. Let's throw that wash and wax up in that cap.
That's
what I'm saying? You already got a crew on the ground that you paying to do that anyways.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you how many times I resolved situations like that and just said, okay, what do you want? What can I do to make you happy? And they're like, I just want an apology.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry you missed your kid's game.
Yeah, exactly.
Dr. Shane, that was really good. The way you did that, but I felt that, man. You was just like, yeah, I'm sorry. Like you was real good. Like that was real. That really was good. That was very believable.
Yeah, it's just like, it's just really connecting to people's pain. I mean, people are generally trying to protect themselves. Usually people aren't coming at you. I know that's hard to imagine. But usually they're mad, they're hurt. And if you could listen to, I have a tough job. I tell people stuff they don't want to hear. Sometimes I'm shocked they pick up the phone. Like, if you listen to me somehow, you'd be like, man, that is abuse therapy. That's just hardcore. But I find that if you authentically care about people's problems, this is business. If you really care about what's keeping them up at night, you could tell them stuff like, look, you ain't going to like the cure. You are absolutely going to hate me every time you come to visit me. But in the end, you'll probably keep your family together. You know, you won't have to pay for 2 households, maybe. You won't be sending your kid to see someone else like me because they're all jacked up now. And I just say it because business is about what you just recognize. It's just an authentic response.
Mm.
You know, we think, oh, it's money involved and da da da. No, people are simple. People aren't really complex. You know, we have basic emotions and we're emotional. We just want to know you care. We don't really care how much you know. And he gave her what he knew about that manual, and it cost him his business.
Yeah.
Wow.
So what, Dr. Shane, what's next on the horizon? I mean, you got all this media stuff going on, and speaking again, what's next on your horizon?
You know, it's and a coach have been pushing me to do this. So I've been very successful at building a cash practice.
Mm-hmm.
And for years, colleagues have been saying, well, how do you do that? Why don't you take insurance? You know, that cash stuff ain't gonna work. And like I said, 99% of my clients have insurance. And finally, it hit me, you know, we don't think about opportunities. We think people think like we think, right? And I realized none of them were. So I got this practice I just started. I got this Facebook called Cash Practice Builders, where I literally help lawyers, I help chiropractors, I help psychologists, coaches develop a cash practice or really develop their business. And I say it because it's like if we want the best professionals and caretakers to be around, we got to find a way they get paid. And so I'm super excited about it. It's something that combines a lot of things that I've become over the years.
Wow.
Excellent, excellent. Okay. So Ted, we have to ask him the question. You know, this is Dr. Shane. Anybody that we see that's doing a whole lot, you know, we're just curious. You have to tell us about your daily routine. So like describe your typical day. Like what time do you get up? What do you do? What does that look like?
Y'all gonna be mad at me because I just sound like I had a balance and it was all this fun, right? I'm like all y'all entrepreneurs. Well, the first thing I do is I'll get up and I'll do one or two things. I try to do both. So I'll get up, I'll work out, get that done. I'm a cyclist, so that's real big for me. I'll do my little 8-minute ab workout and I'll do some type of pull-ups or something. And then I'll read for at least 30 minutes. So that's how I start my day. Then I do all my marketing in the morning and then I do clients from 12 to 6, 7, or 8. That is my day, and I'll play pool in the evening.
All right. Good.
Y'all play pool? Because we can set that up, man.
Look,
All the players I am in, we're gonna meet up and play.
Yeah, see, you got like your own sticks and like bag and all that stuff.
Yeah, I went so far as have my own table, and I'm lucky I got it right before COVID. It's been like my game was on fire.
Yeah, I don't mess with anybody got their own stuff. Like people that bowl got their own bowling bag, ball, and they got the shirt with the name on it. So you're serious.
You smart, Ted.
Yeah.
First moved to DC after leaving grad school. I didn't want to read the paper. I thought I was going to become a professional pool player.
Yeah.
I started playing in people that had their own sticks. And they was playing for diaper money. I'm playing to say I'm the man, right? After they cleaned me out a couple of times, I realized I'm gonna go back and start my practice.
Right. Oh yeah.
So how can our followers best connect with you?
I would say go to Cash Practice Builders if you are looking to grow your business or your practice or anything like that. If you need help with some marital stuff, I have the simplest URL in the world. You probably would naturally type it in, African American Marriage Counseling. You will find me on that page. And if you type in .com after that, you'll go right to my site.
African American Marriage Counseling. All right.
Yeah, you can't miss that if you're African American and you need some marriage counseling. You type that in, you got it.
It's hard because if you type in black marriage, bowling ball or a tuxedo is gonna come. But that's what I got for that brother for $297. I tell you, he changed my life.
Wow.
So you get a lot of business from people that say they did a Google search and found you?
Mostly, mostly like people, that's just what they'll type. I mean, it's like, and to all you entrepreneurs out there, I get like my first URL was SK Perrault and Associates. I've still not had nobody type that URL. As much as I loved it, my friends voted yes, use that one, right? So it's just to all of you out there, because it's on a realer level. You're here. Yeah, we want to entertain you. You guys have the half hour. But really the thing is, how do we shape the next generation? What business legacy do we leave to help all of you meet your goals, take care of your family? So we're solving our unemployment problems. We ain't got to worry about no one else. So as much as entertainment is a part of this, it's really about, boy, what business nuggets can you get? Like I said, success doesn't leave a trail, but I'm sorry, I said there's no shortcut to success, but it does leave a trail. It does. Find a mentor, find someone out there, be it Ted, be it Eric, be it the guy who I use for 297, be it anybody, but make sure you get somebody to show you that path.
Once we get offline, we're gonna be like, okay, that guy for the 297, you still got his contact information because he'd change the game for you.
I'm gonna get a lot of IMs about Cat.
Right? So
I'm like, hey, look, I'm asking for a friend.
Right.
Information, I'm passing on to my friend.
So, Dr. Shane, I'm gonna ask you this question. So your niche is the African American marriage counseling, but I know that someone that's non-African American has come to you before and said, I know you're into marriage counseling, and here's my issue. What do you say when that non-African American comes to you with a marriage counseling question?
I got a community of Jewish folk in Silver Spring that have built a statue to me. They have sent me more people than any place in the world. And just one person came, I took care of him. We sent this whole tribe. So it really does not matter to me. And people ask me, it's just, and I'm being real with y'all. I'm not saying that I'm not passionate about African-American marriage counseling because I am. I don't care. I mean, if you have a problem, I'm passionate about serving people, but no one's typing in passionate marital therapist into the search engine. So, and that's what we have to accept about our businesses. And that's the type of relationship we have to have. What do others need? Remember I said you get everything in the world if you help enough other people get what are they coming with their needs? And they want a Black therapist, African American, I help them find one. And I say that for your businesses out there, it's like, how do you help them get their problem solved?
Awesome. Great. No, I mean, that's such a game changer. I mean, just getting your URL right to match what people are actually typing when they do the searches for your business. I mean, that's so many applications. I mean, I think that works for just about everybody, getting found. So, all right, well, good. So we're gonna go around the horn. This is part of the show. This is Ted's favorite part of the show.
Oh yeah, it's my favorite part of the show. I'm always having to be the person to go after the guest who says something very profound, and then I'm stuck with trying to follow that. And then Eric gets time to come up with his while I'm stumbling through trying to say something after the invited guest. So I'm excited about this, and I just know this is just going to be fun.
Yeah, so Dr. Shane, have at it. What's that final thought you want to leave the people with?
The final thought is really my saying it's never too late to live your happily ever after. And you really are one decision. In my case, it was a decision to work in a niche. In your case, it may be the decision to get a coach. Mm-hmm. It may be the decision to, in your budget, put personal professional development. It may be to add marketing to your budget. It may be, hey, you and your spouse, let me figure out their love language. Let me try and resolve a conflict in it. Let me do 3 things in it this week. So we're one decision away from living our happily ever after.
Great. Excellent. All right, Ted.
Yeah. So a couple of things that I had listed that I captured from this interview, he just went on and used them. So I'm gonna have to change up a little bit. And just kind of going back to what you said earlier about, what you would do for free, right? Like, I think that, that's a real major thing to think about in your business or even your professional careers, is doing something that you would do for free. And I could tell that, in what you're doing with the counseling, that you're truly passionate about it and would do it for free, and really, value that opportunity to help people. And I think that just really helps us all. A lot of times when people, when they say to me, Ted, you work so much, and I'm like, this is really, I tell people all the time, this is not really work. Like, this is fun. Like, what I do, I enjoy doing. Like, I'm not, out doing, construction and lifting heavy crates or anything, right? I'm having opportunities to help customers and come up with solutions and strategy, and I would do it for free. I'm not ready to do it for free right now, but I would do it for free. So yeah, I think that's a very key point, for our listeners, to try to find that niche, like you said, that would be that thing that they'd be willing to do for free when they're able to.
Yeah, that's excellent. That's excellent. And so as I think about the closing thought, I just think about, a lot of times it could be in a relationship with a spouse, it could be business. The instinct is, oh, it's them. They're the problem. They're the issue. So if you're not getting along with somebody, oh, it's them. They need to get it together. But just something I've just been learning. Sometimes you just have to step back and really, and this is hard. It sounds easy, but it's really difficult.
It can never be. It never could be us. It's got to be the other person.
Right. Sometimes just step back. Is there something that I'm doing that's motivating this response?
Yeah.
No, I mean, I'm telling you, I'm just being transparent within the marriage, within everything. There are times I've had to step back. Maybe it's something I need to do differently to get a different response. And those times I have gotten a different response. But as long as I'm like, oh yeah, it's the customer, or that customer's crazy, or it's her. But so I mean, I think that's a big takeaway. I think for you to have any type of a successful relationship, I think you always have to look at yourself. What is it that I can do different? What role am I playing in this argument?
Yeah.
What role am I playing in this disagreement?
Yeah. No, I forgive you, Eric, for the argument that we had. That's your way to apologize as your co-host. I accept that. I was wondering what you were going to do to try to make this better, but
that was all on you.
Because it couldn't have been me. It couldn't have been me.
That was 100% you that time. But yeah. I'm talking about the other instances.
Right.
No, it's real. And I think the big takeaway is just the parallels between, the marital relationship and business relationships. And we just need to apply those same principles. So, yeah, this has been an awesome show. So, Dr. Shane, one more time, please let people know how they can get a hold of you and connect with you.
AfricanAmericanMarriageCounseling.com, or you could type that into Facebook and you can find me for just marital support. Or if you have a business you're looking to go, Practice Builders, Cash Practice Builders, and you will find one, Dr. Shane Perrault. I thank you guys for having me. When you reached out, I didn't know what it was, but I've always been that type of person. I really respect people who hustle, but you guys have exceeded my expectations here. I got to really thank you.
Thank you, man. Appreciate that. Thank you for coming.
Absolutely. All right. So this has been another episode of the 30-Minute Hour podcast. It's not your everyday podcast. You can check us out right here on the 30-Minute Hour Facebook page. Don't forget to check out the What Now movement. Go in there and get yourself some inspiration. On Wednesdays at 6:00, we do the 30-Minute Hour live on lockdown. It's the lighter side of social distancing.
Whatever needs to go outside, man. You and I, we can just come up with digital stuff to do every single day. So this is great.
Absolutely. I'm sure we will create another podcast. I'm sure. We're podcast creators.
That's what we do.
But now definitely check us out on Wednesdays at 6 o'clock. It's the lightest side of the lockdown. Get your laugh on. Till next time, have a great one.
Take care.